This video is titled God. I wanted to tell you my view of God. First, I was raised to believe in Christianity. I was taught how to pray when I was like 5, 6, or 7 years old. I already knew the Lord's Prayer. And since I was very little, I basically was asking God, if you're there, uh, please help me, and um, just various things, being so little. Over time, I became a Christian at a church, and believed the narrative of the Bible. When I was a teenager, I read the entire Bible one summer, and that's when my perspective on God changed. I couldn't believe what I was reading, that basically the theme that the Bible was saying is worship me or die. And if you don't think that's what it's saying, read the book of Revelation. Essentially, those that are chosen will have the mark of God on their foreheads. And that's because they were faithful worshipers and believed in Jesus. And those that don't follow Jesus, don't worship Jesus, well, you know what that story tells you, essentially. And that really troubled me, because in my mind, I already had a perspective of what God was, and it didn't align with what the story was saying. I thought God was a loving God, and that essentially the people that were chosen are innumerable as the sands of on a beach, for example. Then I analyzed the Bible further, and as I said in the video that I made, I am not a sinner. I looked at God's intentions in the story of Garden of Eden. I thought to myself, why would God place the serpent and the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the same place where Adam and Eve were? And I couldn't get past that point. Good parents wouldn't do that. So it was clear to me that it was done on purpose. God could have protected the tree. God could have moved the tree. God could have put an angel there, put a gate around the tree. And as you read in Genesis 3, verse 24, God did protect the garden with a cherubim to the east, and put a flaming sword that spins in every direction to protect the tree of life. But this was done after Adam and Eve got banished from the Garden of Eden. So that it shows you that God could have prevented the fall of man and sin entering the world from disobedience. But they chose not to. In fact, they either allowed or created the conditions for sin to exist because of the scenario that I just talked about from the Garden of Eden. So I didn't like this outcome. It seemed like a divine trap or divine setup. You can learn more about that if you do a Google search or ask AI about the divine setup or divine trap of the Garden of Eden. And then it'll tell you that essentially this is a long theological discussion and argument that if God knows everything, then essentially they wouldn't have allowed Adam and Eve to fail and eat from the tree. Otherwise, it shows that God is directly involved, and the purpose for allowing them to fall was to offer a solution. And that's where I concluded. God created a problem, and then God offered a solution, which is the end of sin and redemption of mankind through Jesus. And people have thought about this through the ages, and they've wrestled with the idea that God and their intentions perhaps weren't good, they were malevolent. But because we're taught that God is all-powerful, everywhere, and all-knowing, and we're taught that God's ways are mysterious, we aren't actually taught to question God or question God's intent. Their intentions here is what I'm arguing. So, because I didn't like that, I created my own religion and my own God, and I call her Mother Night. It's a female deity, and I'd like to read to you a prayer that I wrote to her. Prayer to Mother Night. O Mother Night, I come to you this day. Keep light my mind, and make way the path. Keep me strong when I am weak. Shown my enemies with your great power. Decimate them at my feet. Walk for me in moments of doubt. Let your love for me guide me through troubled waters. Let me not fear the dark and what lies therein. Keep me close to your bosom, that I may be found safe and sound. Let those that come in peace be kindred, like me, like you, like us, like we, like them, the meek. Help us gather together like birds swiftly, migrate naturally. Lead us to a place free from savages, from those that look like us yet are not. Wake me when the time is right. Let me sleep when it is needed. Open my mind to the original way, long lost to the veiled mind. O Mother Night, you are known by many names yet unknown. Hear them as you hear me in sincerity. As I walk a journey of 1,000,000 miles, the destination is my strength. You are my strength. Keep a constant reminder to let us know you are with us. Let us see your love through others during the worst of time. Let this love be pure as you have shown. Let the colors, sounds, shapes, and that in darkness come from you, that we may not be fooled. May we know others with your heart as a mother and her infant, a bond knowable for a moment or a lifetime. Sing your song that we may find serenity during times of great distress. Open our ears that we may hear. Thank you for never leaving us, O Mother Night. So, the other aspect of God is the fact that everyone knows that religion is man-made. The difference is religious people will tell you that, yes, it is man-made, but it is inspired of God. So in other words, the words written in their sacred text, such as the Torah, Holy Bible, Quran, etc., are written with the intent that God provided those words. Here's part of the problem with that. If people hear voices, we know that essentially that they're insane, that they are losing a grip of reality. But we're supposed to believe that people heard the voice of God, or that through men and potentially women, a spirit or the Spirit of God physically penned these religious books. Again, religion is man-made. And I think that what God is mankind's attempt to provide a real metaphor for the infinite or eternity. But I don't think anyone really knows. No one really knows what God is. They just believe they do, and they have faith that they do. Because without faith, your belief is just a personal opinion. But with faith, you think that you have concrete evidence for why you believe what you believe. Thank you.